Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of the Late Night Show, Dr. Kojo. This is a late night show. I'm almost 2 hours behind the time that we normally stream. And I said we were going to go stream at 7:30, but I was a bit behind. As you can see, it's a recording day behind me, so I was a bit behind. But let's go ahead and get into it. It will be a bit of a shorter show today. We'll probably end around 15, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. We can do 20 minutes because I have to head to a comedy show after this and go perform, and hopefully it'll be funny. But let's get started. We're going to be talking about 3 signs that it's time to leave a relationship. But before we do that, before we get into the content, we got to introduce ourselves, right? So like I said, my name is Kojo. I'm checking in from what was a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. And I'm so excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you all as we talk about some real stuff, right? Some real stuff, but we're going to get into it today. Leilani's checking in from Tennessee. She's one of the moderators. Please say hey to her. Become friends. Carolina, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's going to be fun tonight. We got a show on Sunset, West Hollywood. So I've never performed at that place before. So hopefully it'll be good. Patricia, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here tonight. Carolina, what's up? Where are you from, by the way, Carolina? Where's everybody from as we get into the topic tonight? Let me go ahead and drop a link on Instagram so people from IG can come through as well if they want to come through. We'll give them a shot. Y'all can hear the planes flying over Southern California, huh? And let me drop this right here so that way people can see. All right, so going live tonight, making the announcement. And then you're going to do the link right here, facebook.com/ I think it's Dr. Kojo Sarfo. Come join. All right. Boom. All right. Let's roll. Boom, boom, boom. We got Karen from San Diego. Karen, how are you doing? We got Carla from Maryland. What's up, Carla? We have Amaria. I hope I said that correctly. From Vermont. What's up, Amaria? We got Diamond. Diamond, what's up? Ash from Illinois. We got Carolina from LA, the home team. Hopefully I see you at the comedy show soon. We have one on Thursday, but we'll be having a lot. Eventually, hopefully I get to see you. Diamond's from Washington State, I'm assuming. Lori Ann, what's up? Here's also the link to our Discord server. I have not been as active on the Discord server, but I will become more active as we progress throughout the year. I know the year's almost done, but that's my plan. That's my intention. Wendy from Texas. Wendy, what's going on? Wow. Okay, I said your name correctly. I take pride in pronouncing people's names correctly because I have a foreign name, and growing up, people would mispronounce Kojo all the time, and my last name Sarfo. Sometimes you would hear them say fart instead of Sarfo. I don't know how you get fart from Sarfo, but I mean that's neither here nor there. But I do my best to try and pronounce people's names correctly. So Amaria Pendlebury. Cool. Mariah, I appreciate that. I love you loving the stash. I appreciate that. We got Tansy from Sacramento. Tansy, what's up? Jen from Lake Tahoe, Nevada. We got Sean checking in from Seattle. Sean, welcome to the chat. Welcome. All right, so we got a nice little crowd here. Leilani, did I pronounce your name correctly the first time? Well, I'm happy that I'm more intentional with it. So that's super cool. Audrey from Alabama. Audrey, what's up? Emily from Iowa. Emily, I shipped off the books today for your boyfriend. So your boyfriend will be getting 2 books. I threw in my my first book, You Already Won, in addition to the second one, which is called Feeling Good. So hopefully your boyfriend enjoys it, and we will be supporting him on his mental health journey. Yep. Lake Tahoe on the California side. Gotcha. I know exactly where you're at. We got Diana from Michigan. Diana, what's going on? We got Mariella from the live is today. I was just a little bit late. From Space City, Houston, Texas. What's up? Welcome to the chat, Mariella. Juan from Manila. Okay. We have anytime. And thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Greetings from the Philippines. What's up? River assignment. Okay. Well, I'm proud of myself then. And Diana says, can't sleep. Well, hopefully you can enjoy this show. Uh, and then well, hopefully we get some sleep after that. Chencha, is that how you say Chencha? And we got Kiera from Philly. Kiera, what's going on? Aisha from Baltimore. I've been missing you too. So I'm happy that I'm back on the live stream. All right, let's get into it, right? So 3 signs it's time to leave a relationship. And this can go for business relationships, not just romantic relationships, right? But when I came up with this list, I had a romantic context in mind. So keep that in mind. Janice from Montreal. Janice, what's going on? We love our fellow Canadians. I said Canadians. All right. Well, who's your favorite band, Emily? And hopefully that they do another night. All right. So number one, I need to change my picture on YouTube. I thought I changed it, and my picture on Twitch is old. And this is I need to update my picture. I need to do that. Megan from Florida, what's going on? Night Ranger. I've never heard of Night Ranger before, Emily, but I gotta look into them. So the number one sign that it's time to leave a relationship. All right. You're constantly reminding them about the things you don't like / having to set boundaries consistently, right? Y'all should not have to be setting. You shouldn't have to do this more than once, right? If you set boundaries correctly, you let people. Let's just say, let's take the example. Let's say you just met somebody, right? You were on Bumble or whatever people use nowadays to meet people, or maybe you met somebody in person. However, which way it happened, you met somebody, and then you've been talking for, like, let's say 2.5 months. After 2.5 months of spending time twice a week, almost every day, like, you kind of get somebody's, cadence. You know what they're about, right? If you tell the person in the beginning, let's just say, actually, let me think of, I'll make it personal. Let me think of something that I would say, right? If I'm talking to a young lady, I would probably say something like, hey, I'm not a big fan of texting throughout the day. So let's set some time out to, like, talk on the phone, FaceTime, or once a week, let's go out to eat and let me get to like talk to you. But I'm not a fan of texting throughout the day because I'm busy, and my ADHD brain is scatterbrained automatically. So I'm going to forget things. Like today, I forgot a lot of stuff, and tomorrow I'm going to forget stuff. But hopefully, I can get the priority tasks done. So if I have to mention this to a lady I'm talking to, right? Month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, I have to keep saying, hey, like, I like hearing from you, but can we talk on the phone? Can we get in person? The texting is kind of confusing me. Like, I'm behind on things. If that person is still doing that, what's that sign of? The person's not listening to you. Now, we're not going to be quick to call them a narcissist or, call them out of their name. We won't do that. But the person is not listening to you, right? If you have to constantly remind them, hey, let's say, they make a joke about you, and, you laugh the first time, but you're like, yeah, it's a funny joke, but like, I prefer if you just didn't say that. Then they say, oh, okay, cool. I won't say it again, right? If it happens a second time, honestly, if it happens one more time, especially if it's a new relationship or whatever, that is probably the time to bounce, right? Every yes you say is a no to something else that's probably in line for you. So if you let somebody slide one time, there's a good chance they're going to do it again, right? And now, if, let's say, you've been married to somebody for 10 years and y'all have 4 kids, and you have a lot, like, you built a life together, then this advice is not applied to you. Okay, I'm talking about, like, when you first meet somebody, right? If you have to constantly remind them, hey, I don't like the way you do that, what's that sign of? That they don't listen. That person doesn't listen to you. Hey, I'm sorry. I hate to bring this up. Like, I hate to be a bother, and I mentioned it when we first met. But anytime that you show up to my house unannounced or whatever, it just makes me feel like you don't respect me, right? You next week, if they show up to your house unannounced again, all right, that's the time to cut it off. And a lot of people wonder how they end up in narcissistic situations or whatever is going on. If you let something slide once, I promise you, you'll come back around and be like, I should have checked them the first time. And once again, this does not mean that they're an evil person, right? They're working through their own trauma and insecurities like we are too. But if you don't speak up for yourself, who will? You have to be your own biggest cheerleader. Um, let me see. Braden, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Braden. Thank you, my guy. Carla says, I asked him not to smoke in my house, and he would go in the guest bathroom to smoke. So, Carla, once again, I don't know who him is, right? I don't know who him is, whether it's your husband or whatever. But let's just take you and this man out of the equation. Let's just say girl meets a guy. Girl is digging the guy. Guy is digging the girl too. Early in the relationship slash situationship, whatever, girl tells guy, hey, I would love it if you do not smoke in my house, right? Like, I don't mind you smoking. Clearly, you said you can smoke somewhere else. And the person said they're going to go to the guest bathroom to smoke. Now, when a guest comes in and they go to the bathroom, they're like, I smell something in here. Either somebody's been blowing cigarettes or I can smell marijuana or what's going on, right? And you're going to be like, oh, I told him not to smoke in the house. This is a clear violation, right? And look, as guys, and I'm not any better. Just because I'm Dr. Coder and I'm teaching you all, I'm not any better. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot, and I'm just a human being who's continuing to learn, But as a guy, if I like a woman and she tells me to not smoke in her house or whatever, and I think that I can get away with it, sometimes as men we will try. Well, that's a human thing. You'll try and push the boundary just to see if they're serious. You go, oh, I just thought you were joking, but clearly by the way you put UGH, I don't think you were joking, right? So this is a perfect example. Thank you for sharing. Does the concept of benefit of doubt, people pleasing? So Carolina, we're gonna talk about people pleasing. Leilani, somebody put it in the remind me some way somehow, because I'm gonna break down people pleasing to, and it's gonna help us out with a lot of the anxiety that we deal with, right? We're trying to please people by doing things that we don't really. We're doing things that are not in line with who we are to please people that we're not sure that we like. It's an awful way to live, but we've been trained and conditioned to people please our whole lives. And I feel like if you're neurodivergent, it's probably worse for you too, because you're dealing with a lot of masking and you're trying to fit in. So it just makes like a perfect storm for being manipulated, right? So the benefit of the doubt, sometimes that does equal people pleasing, Carolina. But there are some times where let's say you're looking at your partner and you know that they're tired. Like, that's what you have to know the person, right? If they're tired and they've done the best that they can, maybe they wronged you, but their intent was not to do that. So sometimes you can give them the benefit of a doubt. But even then, I would still say, bring it up a little bit later on. Say, hey, the day you were tired, I let so and so go, but like, it's really important for me if we do X, Y, and Z. There's a time and place to bring things up. But when you have a benefit of the doubt and you just keep that, I can see how that's people pleasing. That's that's a good point. This happened with me recently. I hate texting to ADHD to keep up, cut it off because they wouldn't respect my boundaries. And Megan, I'm going to go ahead and give you the first love of the show right here. And this is why I'm happy that a lot of the people in my community have ADHD, because it makes me feel less alone or less crazy, for lack of a better term. I hate to use the C word, but this is something that I just like. I'm not good with texting because, like, even right now, my phone just stuff to do, right? So I can't differentiate. Of course, like I got my mom and my dad and people who I'll respond to right away. But we can't be living a life where it's like we have to respond to everybody like right. That's too much for us, especially if we have ADHD and we're already not good with time. So if you have to cut somebody off because you told them, hey, let's meet up in person, let's take time out of our schedules to do X, Y, and Z, and they keep texting you and blowing up your phone, then the sooner that you end that, the better. I see nothing wrong with that. And this is not a gender thing. This is just a person thing. Respect should go both ways. The person will appear to be inconsiderate. Well, if I appear to be inconsiderate and I'm standing up for myself, then that's fine. That's a them problem. As long as you say things with respect. We should never call somebody out of the name. Don't use ad hominems. Don't disrespect nobody. But it's not disrespectful to speak up for yourself. In fact, it's disrespectful to yourself to not speak up for yourself, if that makes sense. This year has been a lesson in boundaries for me. So I'm speaking from personal experience. And yes, Monday nights will be regular things at 6 p.m. California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And Carla says he's ex-boyfriend. You described the situation correctly. Well, Carla, look, I know a thing or two, and some of it's from lived experience. I haven't been the best boyfriend in the past or the best human being as well. So I'm learning as well. Leilani, thank you very much. Kendra, what's up? Kendra is from Pennsylvania. She's also one of our moderators. Kendra, nice to have you back. Jess says, I live with my boyfriend. We are at the point where we have zero intimacy and are more like roommates. Oof. I've been there before. We don't even sleep in the same room anymore. Mickey, Ficky. I don't know how to get our love back, but we both have ADHD and it's hard to start a convo. Well, sometimes you have to start from scratch within the same relationship. Start from scratch. Go back and look at your earlier photos. Try and recapture that feeling of why y'all, first decide to move in with each other, and then break it down to the things that you're comfortable with and the things that you're not comfortable with. If there's something that you're doing that you don't enjoy doing, and vice versa for him, y'all just stop doing that right now. Just stop it. Stop it, because y'all know each other. You don't have to fake the funk, right? Megan says, I get accused of ghosting, not intentionally, but it was too much. And so ghosting is we'll have to take ghosting up separately. But in your situation, the way you describe it, I wouldn't call that ghosting. You try to tell the person, hey, like, this is how I move, this is how I operate. I would really appreciate it if boom, boom, boom. And you couldn't get that. At that point, I'm gone too. And one of the biggest reasons why we end up in the wrong relationships and situationships is because when we pick up on something like this, instead of like speaking up for ourselves and saying, hey, I'd love it if you X, Y, and Z, we don't speak up for ourselves because we don't want to lose a person, right? And sometimes we don't want to lose a person because we're lonely, or we don't want to lose them because, we want company, or maybe like that's the guy that you want, or you like how he looks. Or sometimes for us as guys, a lot of times for us as guys, you don't lose her because of how she looks, or maybe it's the sex. A lot of times it's the sex, just being honest, But at the end of the day, is it worth like your respect? Is it worth your self-esteem? And it's not. But you normally learn that by having to go through that, right? When your partner disrespects you, it's time. If they constantly boss you around and are rude, leave. I agree with what Tanya is saying. I agree. Give my non-negotiables right away. It helps. Yeah. Once you cross a certain age, maybe like 30, it should be 25. At some point, you're like, all right, I'm done with the small talk. Like this is what's up, This seem considerate. If they can. Well, you ask nicely, Teresa, and keep in mind, all of us, when we ask for things, we ask nicely, right? Emily, I'm not sure. You may want to hang in the house, but I'm not too sure. Lisa, what's going on? Is that Dr. Kojo? Is that Lisa Everson Gonzalez? We're happy to have you here. Savage Clark, what's up? What's up? I'll check my alerts so I know when you're on next. I appreciate you. Robert from the Philippines, what's up? What's up? I'm learning to set boundaries too. I realize I can't get mad at people because they can't read my mind, so I speak up. Exactly. And this is what some of us tend to do a lot when we don't want to lose a person, right? We won't speak up and say what's on our mind because we don't want to lose the person, right? And this is probably one of the best ways for us to not set our boundaries, right? You enjoy that person's company, so you're like, I guess it's not that bad. And then you wait until it is that bad. But once it's that bad, you've lost all patience, and you might be rude and disrespectful, and so on and so forth. Bunny says, we recognize that intimacy doesn't always mean sex. I agree with you, Bunny. I agree. And I would argue that intimacy is harder to find than sex, in my opinion. But really good point. Really good point. All right, now the second sign that it's time to leave a relationship. This is very important. I need y'all to listen up on this one. There's no trust. And look, I got trust issues just like y'all. Maybe even worse. But when there's no trust, you gotta bounce. You gotta go. What are you doing? There's no trust. If you're a team, it's the same thing as, like, let's say you're playing team sports. If you don't trust your teammate to make the shot, you'll never pass the ball. Kobe Bryant never passed the ball when the Lakers were rebuilding because he didn't trust his teammates. He were like, y'all suck. Y'all don't practice. I'm not going to pass you the ball. That's why that Lakers team never won. And guess what? When they got some good players, they got Paul Gasol. They got Who else? Lamar Odom. Once they got the pieces that Kobe needed, he would pass them. He passed the ball to Ron Artest in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, in the biggest game of his career to that point, because he trusted him, right? And right now, there's a lot of people who are in relationships with somebody else, and you don't trust them. You'll eat the food that they make, but you don't trust them. You'll have unprotected sex with that person, but you don't trust them. Should we keep going? Y'all see where we go with this? You trust them around your kids, but you don't really trust them. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll go on trips and vacations with them and do all these elaborate things, but you don't really trust that person. You know, and to people in that situation, what I say is, what are we actually doing? Like what are we actually doing? And I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been dating somebody, talking to a beautiful woman. I'm like, oh, she's amazing. And when it comes down to a certain situation, like maybe she's going to be at the house by herself for a little bit or something, I'm like, ooh, do I need to lock up some valuables or and this, I'm telling on myself and guys, sometimes we do that. We're like, I should have maybe thought about if I trust. Do I even like this woman? Do I trust this woman? Do I trust her? Wasted energy, yeah. And Mickey, yeah, no, look, it hits home. And I'm speaking from personal experience, and this has been like the light bulb for me where I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't think I should be with this woman. I don't trust her. Like when push comes to shove, I'm like, this is not an emergency contact. She's a contact, but she's not an emergency contact. It doesn't mean that she's a bad person. It just means that for whatever reason, I don't trust her. Why don't I trust her? We don't know. But when you answer that question, you get to the actual root of the issue. Why don't you trust that person? They're in your house. They're eating your food. You're sleeping with them. You go on trips together. You take cool photos and post on Instagram to show people how happy you are. But you don't trust that person. You gotta trust the person. And this is the perfect example that I Leilani, we gotta get to the truth. Every now and then, it depends, right? Let's say somebody comes to me, Leilani, and they're coming out of an abusive relationship. This is not the time to tell them to be this direct. At that point, you just want to make sure that person feels safe, that they're separate, they're separated from their abuser or whatever is going on. You have to make sure that they feel safe, that they have their basic essentials. Have you eaten today? Have you been able to take care of yourself? And then we work on the basics, and then we get to this stuff. But this is just really, really, really direct. This is really direct. Elizabeth from Texas, I'm happy to see you live for the first time. De La Hanty, welcome to the stream. And the beater says, usually trust is broken quickly with a little thing that resonates with past experience. Ooh, this deserves the love of the show. This sometimes it's things like that, and I'm gonna do a better job of having stitches. I'm gonna start stitching things on TikTok and start replying to it and making videos to break down certain situations for y'all. I'll still give y'all the same content, but I'm gonna throw some new pieces of content in there because there's times. And also one thing that I don't think a lot of women understand about men, right? Let's say for any lady who's watching, let's say you're talking to a guy and y'all have been talking for 2-3 years and it's not going anywhere. Sometimes that relationship will never go anywhere. It won't go anywhere. But it's not because of anything that you're doing right now. You're doing what you should be doing now. But it's something that you said in week 2 that threw off a red flag to the guy. And internally he told himself, oh, she'll never be more than like a girlfriend. She'll never be like my woman because I can't trust her because of X, Y, and Z. And that's something that she said the second week that y'all met. And now she's here, trying to perform her best to become this man's woman when she will never be that woman to him because of something that happened in the past when the trust was broken. So what should have happened in this situation? The accountability has to fall on the guy. The guy should have realized, all right, once she said that, if you can't deal with that, or once you realize that you cannot deal with that, you got to cut it off right there and free her, let her go like a free bird instead of leading her, along for 2-3 years. because that's what normally happens, right? So when there's no trust, there's no relationship. You know, you're doing relationship things and you're hanging out with them, but we can't call it a relationship. We just call it, you know, a situation where y'all are together, but y'all are not locked in all the way. We have ugly talks on marriage, so we know that we know each other experience. Right, this is what works my ADHD. Same here, and I think every marriage, every relationship, business and you know, romantic, you gotta have those ugly talks where you just get to the root of the issue. Marlena, what's up? He wouldn't talk to me when he was feeling low, and for 2 years I gave him his space, but we were thinking of moving in together. I saw him falling back into his pattern, and even after we talked about it, he promised not to shut me out. He still did. Then he backlashes by not living, being able to live with a cat. I've had a cat for over a year, and it's my daughter's. I'm choosing to let it go. So, Marlena, congratulations to you for letting it go. And this is exactly what I was talking about. You're going back and forth for 2 years. 2 years is 24 months. That's a long period of your life, you know? And that's what normally happens. And let me put it back up here for a second. You know, when he's upset, he can't say that, oh, I'm upset about what Marlena said in the second month of when we met. So that anger, that hurt, that resentment will be displaced, and it'll come out as, oh, I don't want to live with a cat. Really, the cat has nothing to do with it, right? But that might be a way of just expressing what you want to say. And he may not even be aware of this. So I don't want to go out and say he's a bad person or he's a narcissist, but he may not be aware of this, right? This is the stuff that we should have been taught in middle school, grade school, all of this stuff. But instead, they were teaching us about cursive and planets and things like that. You know, but they were doing the best that they could at that time. My ex of over 6 years was abusive and cheated on me for 6 months. I didn't know. The woman he was with is now one of my closest friends. Oh, wow. You lost. You ain't the best. That's what's up. That's what's up, Megan. That's what's up. Situationship. Oh, yeah, yeah. I like the cop mustache. I appreciate you, Taurus Lila. If I'm ever driving behind you on the 405 and you're in LA, I'll pull you over and just say, hey. Caroline says some men want sex and don't care being in a dead end relationship. Yeah, yeah. And in that situation, what's happening is they don't care for the dead end relationship. They just want the sex, you know. And some I would. This is normally a guy thing, I would say. For the most part, between men and women, I think we do this significantly more. But there are people in general who are okay with this, and they don't care about the relationship, you know. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people will take the best thing available at that time instead of going for what they actually need, you know. I want to say need instead of deserve, because you know nobody deserves to be a narcissist for 14 years and waste, you know, their best years. Nobody deserves that, right? So some people will come on and say, oh, like, I want, this is my experience, you know, and other people will say, oh, I've been married happily and I never went through that. Can you look at that person who went through that bad situation and say they deserved it? No, they didn't deserve it, but that's what happened, right? So I try to refrain from saying, oh, this person deserves a good relationship. We all deserve a good relationship, but because of circumstances, we don't always get that. This will be very specific with that. All right, and the third reason why, how's my time looking? Okay, I'm good for now. The third reason why is, yeah, Carolina, being assertive is key. And also, so sometimes, a lot of times, you know, depending on who you're talking to, they may take being assertive as being rude, right? And in my opinion, I believe that the only thing that men value more than love and sex is respect. Respect is like here, and then you have like sex and everything else. But respect is the most. In fact, respect is how men receive love. So sometimes somebody could say, "Oh, you being assertive is rude." I don't agree with that. I think you being assertive is actually, that shows that you prioritize and value this relationship. Because let's say if I'm dating somebody and they're not assertive and they're not speaking up, especially when it comes to things that I'm doing that could be wrong, and you're not looking out for me, then I question the love. You know, so I think being assertive is the key, and we were never really taught to be assertive, right? And it kind of makes us default into that people pleasing mode where people ask you, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm okay." All right, water break. That's my worst fears, depending on the person. Respect. All right, so it's time for the water break, but real quick, Torres, it's good to have a fear, but we can't operate from a place of fear. So when you realize that, then we gotta work on it. But we can't operate from a place of fear. Water, 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 water. Let me go get some water break. Water break. Get some water. Shiesty. We'll get this water break in, and then we'll I'll drop in the third sign. And Emily, I'm a big believer in going to the gym. The gym is the answer for a lot of my issues. I went today. I try and squeeze a little bit of time in every single day for me personally. All right, okay, so water break real quick, and now I'll get to what Torres said, and then we'll get to the last sign. Water break. Well, actually, that's not the magic word. Can somebody drop in the magic word, and then we'll have the water break? The magic word, only Kendra and Leilani probably know it, but the magic word will allow. There we go. There we go. Big cheers, y'all. Let's get in. Get that water and feel much better. Feel much better. Torres says, I already wasted 5 years of my kids' dad, not trying to do it again or continue a generation curse. Respect, Torres. And I mean, it's all about perspective, you know. Maybe you see it as wasted, but if you learned valuable lessons and became a better person, then it could, you know, we could say that it was worth it. Not worth it. I take that back. That we were able to extract some good out of it. Because if we could go back and do it again, we wouldn't do this. So I wouldn't say that you did this or this happened with the intention of you trying to make it worth it. But we can try to extract the good out of it, and hopefully you can use that to allow you to be a better person. And also, for your child's father, he's still somebody who, you know, has life in front of him, who, you know, we'll hope that he makes a couple of changes so he can be the best version of himself, right? You know, he's still a father, and you know, kids need their dad. I'm not going to get into your situation, but hopefully he can recognize the things that he didn't do so it can help him out for his next relationship, or it can just help him become a better person as well. You know, I always try and mention that because I don't think, even if we break up with somebody, right? Like, I don't think that person is done. You know, like, we can't throw that person away. Maybe it's good for us to be here and for them to stay over there, but you know, we still wish them the best of luck with whatever they choose to do in the future. I'm cheating and finishing off my cocktail. Hey, Aisha, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, get that cocktail in. Nothing wrong with that. Eee! How about breaking down generation curses? And let me see what Jenny said before I drop the last one. Just want to point out that just some situations where abusers will escalate if you try to have a healthy level of assertiveness, and that in itself is a key to find the way out. You realize your healthy assertiveness is causing them to try to lay down the controlling stuff more intensely. No, Jenny, you're completely correct, right? And if you realize this, then the first thing that you realize is that, all right, it's time to leave a relationship. Now, in this situation, we have another problem. You know you have to leave, but you don't know how to get out of it, right? And that's a whole different topic. And sometimes, depending on the abuse, you know, authorities may have to get involved. Like, you know, law may have to get involved. Somebody has to watch the kid. You know, a lot can get very, very complicated when it gets to that level. And I have a lot of empathy for anybody who was going through that. But yes, when you realize you can't assert yourself in a healthy way, then that's absolutely a sign that something has to happen. And normally that thing is, you got to find your way out of it, or at least separate yourself from that thing. Because over time, that's not a way to live. That's not a way to live. Yeah, and I like what Leilani is saying. Everyone and anyone can be the bad guy in someone else's life journey. I always keep that in mind, because in my head, I feel like I'm a perfect human being and I've never done anybody wrong. But I know that's true. That's not true, because I can think of situations where I could have done so much better. You know, I could have done so much better, and I probably, you know, looking back at some of those situations, I'm like, why did I even do that? What was I going through to be, you know, like, that's not my character, but you know, that was how I acted in that situation. So you have to be empathetic and try and look at both sides. All right. Xander Grizzly lied. But Emily, I wouldn't lean too much into this. We could be the bad guy in somebody else's life, but I wouldn't spend much time thinking about this. Just if you've done something that you're not proud of, or you treated people in a way that it wasn't reflective of who you are. You weren't nice, you weren't accommodating, whatever the case may be. Just do your best to forgive yourself. That's what I try to do. I try and work on forgiving myself, and then from there, I ask myself how I can do better for future situations. Yeah. Right. For the time invested, for forgiving yourself is really difficult. It's really difficult. Candace from Oahu. I think that's Hawaii. What's up? Yeah, forgiving yourself is key. But the third point is you don't believe it'll work out, right? And this is more so of a gut feeling. And this is very arbitrary, but have y'all ever been in a situation where you're in a relationship and things are going good, right? And for some reason you're like, nah, this is not my person. It's not going to work out. And it's a nagging feeling. You can't really explain it. Maybe it's your body trying to tell you something, or it's just something. And it's even hard for me to put this in words, but I feel like we know what we're talking about. Sometimes you're with somebody and there's clearly, when you get down to the root of the issue, there's something that's not going right that should be going right normally. You don't just feel this way. You're not just with somebody and everything is like perfect, and all of a sudden you're like, I gotta bounce, I gotta dip. It's not like that, right? It's not like that. Normally, there's something that makes you go like internally, like, I don't know if I should be here, or I don't know if this is it for me. And when you feel that, of course, it's good to have a conversation and see if you can find a solution. But even if you don't leave the relationship, that's a good time to just pause and just figure out like what's going on here. And if you can talk things through, you'll normally feel better. So for this last one, I wouldn't say just straight up leave, but you got to pause, because sometimes when you have that feeling, what you'll find is over time, the answer comes to you. You're like, that's why I couldn't be with this person. That's why I couldn't trust them. That's why I couldn't feel safe with that person. So when you have that feeling that you're like, and especially for those of us who are neurodivergent, we have like our spidey senses are off the charts. Like sometimes you'll just be somewhere and you're like, hold up, I'm not safe right now. I gotta get out of here. And guess what? When you leave, you realize that, oh, thank God I left. There's a reason why, right? There's a reason why. And yeah, Jazz Kelsey. Yeah, that's funny. Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Yeah, I gotta find me a superstar girlfriend too, huh? I often feel as if I'm the bad guy. Abusive relationship in the past for the cause. Well, Candace, the good thing about this is you identify what the potential problem is, and then from there we can work on that, right? Maybe get that feeling occasionally, but your mind is fighting at the same time. Well, Elizabeth, then in that situation, for this last one, I don't think it's time to leave. So this is probably 2.5 reasons, 2.5 signs. But you need to address that thing, because what normally happens is, Elizabeth, let's say the relationship or the situation in question, let's say it doesn't work out. There's a good chance that this feeling that is making you question whether you should be in a relationship, whatever was behind that feeling was probably what was behind the end of the relationship. Like when you look back at things, right? So even if you're fighting your mind, like you're going back and forth, it's a good time to just sit down and pause, and maybe just have one of those conversations where you say the truth. You let your partner know how you're feeling, maybe get professional help, but it's a good time to just sit there and pause. I wouldn't just look over that. This was me last year. I was so mad at myself for not following my intuition. Right. And normally what happens is when we ignore our intuition and we ended up being right, then we're like, we might say a 4-letter word. I was gonna go there. I'm like, nah, I want to keep this clean, right? But you have to forgive yourself, which is really hard to do. And sometimes we ignore it because we lie to ourselves. We don't want to be right, but we know what the answer is, right? All right. Let me see. So true. All right. And Mickey Ficky, dang it. My God, my time. All right, y'all. So I do have to dip out because I don't want to be late for the comedy show, and I'm performing tonight. But we'll be back on once again next week, Monday. Actually, no, not next week, Monday, because I'm out of town. Yeah, next week, Thursday. Next week, Thursday, we'll be on, and maybe we'll do a bonus show next week because when I come back, I might have some more time. Nikki Ficky. Oh, I mean, wanting to stay like I said I was gonna be here for 15 minutes, and I ended up being here for 40. But that always happens, you know. I could talk for like another 40 minutes. Dang. All right, y'all. But I do have to dip. I love y'all a lot. I'll be posting videos. I'll be posting content. I got a lot of stuff planned for y'all. And I will. Man, like I'm seeing Edgar's question in here. I'm seeing. Oh, I got some. Oh. All right, y'all. But I'm already bad on time, so I gotta dip. But we'll be back here next week on Thursday. I'm not sure the time, but I'll be posting this in the Discord server, and I'll also post it here on Facebook as well. So I gotta dip, but I love y'all, and I'll see y'all soon.